Welcome to another episode of the All Pop No Culture podcast. I'm your host this week, Kevin. We have Andrew and Pete and myself all on this week. We don't have Andy back, but we're close. We're getting there to having everybody. A lot of content this week to go through. We don't really stick to any one thing too long, so you'll be able to bounce around pretty quickly. We talk about the menu with Anya Taylor-Joy. We talk about White Lotus Season 2. Pete and I eventually talk about Glass Onion at some point, a Knives Out story. I talk about my new trip down memory lane with my youngest son watching Transformers Generation 1, the animated cartoon. Andrew took the time to go see M3gan in the theater, and he also watched Paranormal Activity, so we talk about that a little bit and how that sort of compares to the Conjuring franchise, which we've talked about a lot. And that's what we've got for the week, so we hope you enjoy. I don't think it's too long of an episode. I haven't edited yet, but it should be under 2 hours. So with that, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, set up notifications, and thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy this week's show.
Namely, actually, it was fucking White Lotus. Like that sucked me in, dude. Like I was all about season one, as you know, and I like season two as well. And even tonight, like I was pondering like the whole Albie Portia thing, like as far as like, I think that the whole nice guy friend zone thing is a very controversial topic because I think that some people are like, there's no such thing as a friend zone. You aren't entitled to sex, like blah blah blah. It gets kind of like the more like really feminist inclined people like angry. So the fact that they actually, and then even the whole nice guy thing, it's almost like there's no such thing as a nice guy. You're just lame, but you want to call yourself nice because you're fucking lame, right? But I think that the show, and I'm realizing this might actually make the fucking show now, yay, is that the show was brave in that it showed Albie being the quote unquote nice guy in reaction to his dad and his grandfather, because they were obviously more on that womanizing tip, especially his dad. So he's like being all like courteous and shit. And Portia's like, I want some guy to just throw me around. So when bad boy nephew shows up, she's like, yeah, dude, I'm good. I'm gonna go with him. And
Yeah.
what I liked about it was just the whole dynamic, how like there's a thing between nice guys and like bad girls, right? And I loved how that played out. And I also loved how like at first Portia's all about nephew, but then slowly but surely she's like, yeah, you're scheming me out now. Like this isn't cool anymore. That's what I love about White Lotus. I think it was a show that, or it is a show that takes, like I said, an unflinching look at human nature. And I think that the first season was a bit more bleak, actually.
Yeah, that's actually what bothered me about the first one. I think, and maybe part of it's because I expected it to be funnier with the cast that they had. When you get Steve Zahn in something, you don't expect it to be just fucking depressing. You get Murray Bartlett, you don't expect it to just be depressing. And it kind of was. And so I was just like, I don't know.
So yeah, and also and I know both of you guys, like both you and Pete, are definitely a bit more versed when it comes to like talent. So I went in there knowing no one. I will say the boyfriend, or actually the husband, like the new husband, even though he was a total dick, for some reason the whole time I'm like, I could see him as Cyclops. Like I really could, because he had that kind of like
Theo
bro.
James.
Is that his name? I don't know. Like whoever the guy who was tripping about the room was always like, we got this room. Like my mom booked this room. Like
In the first one.
in the first one.
Yeah.
I saw him as Cyclops. He's a Cyclops type dude. Now, if he's sure, he can't do it. But I just felt like that, even though I hated him, that's just because that was his role, right? I feel like if you give him more of a heroic role, yeah, dude, if that happens, that'll be amazing.
I've seen
Um,
him in other stuff before, though. I feel like if you watched him in more stuff, you may not feel the same way.
I don't deny. I mean, I don't.
Um,
I don't. doubt it. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't see him really as a leading man. Well, and I guess Cyclops won't be if they end up doing it right, because he'll be one of many, right?
exactly. It's got to be a coalition. I mean, he is, yes, he is the leader of the X-Men, but it's Storm. And that's why this I feel like a broken record. That's why I love, again, unpopular opinion, X3 compared to the other two, because that one felt like more of a coalition than the first two, especially X2, which was like basically the Wolverine show. So um anyway, yeah. So that's why I didn't watch Wednesday. That was a rant. Because I got, and I had watched 2 seasons of a show, which never happens. I have no attention span, and I pulled that shit off in like two
It
weeks.
helps that they're short though. It's like 6 or 8 episodes, I think.
6 episodes, say season one, 7 season two, and that was my other complaint. I felt like season two wasn't as compact, in my opinion, compactly told as season one was. Um, but you know, I will say I never watched Parks and Rec. But I always have known who Aubrey Plaza is, and she won me over. I'm like, yo, and I'm not gonna lie, like you're kind of hot. Like I never
She
thought of
is
her.
though. She's been doing the she's been doing the blonde thing lately too. And she looks totally different as a trip. She's hilarious on Parks and Rec. She was actually one for me between her and the guy who plays Ron Swanson,
I know you're talking about.
Nick Offerman.
Yes.
They're the best part of Parks and Rec.
Um, what else? Oh, and of course, they're both her and I'm getting water. Both her and Jennifer Coolidge. I don't know if you knew, were nominated for Golden Globes for their work in White Lotus.
Yes. Yeah.
Well deserved. Um, I did describe Jennifer Coolidge's character as a walking Darwin Award. So like in terms of what happens to her in the second season, like I was like, well, at least that's realistic. Like,
Yeah.
even though she did go out literally
Yeah.
blaze of glory.
I loved, yeah, I loved the irony of her effectively saving her own life only to, fall and hit her head and in the dumbest way possible, just go down the dumbest way possible.
Dude,
Um
I actually rewound, like I heard the dunk. I said, did that just happen? So I went and rewound it and watched it again. And even as she's like climbing over the edge, in my head, I'm like, dude, at least take off your fucking heels, man. What the fuck? Oh my god. But it was so poetic, dude. It was so poetic. And I
yeah, I'm
never
really
liked
curious
that
to
guy.
see if they do if,
Gary, whatever his name
no,
is.
if they do a third season, if they'll go back to the husband one more time.
That's what, yeah, yeah. So I'm saying, yeah, exactly.
Which I don't know.
Right.
They may not, because I mean, if it's going to take place at another resort, um,
I hear it's Asia.
she kept going to the resort because she got some kind of pass. Like she had a like they talk about it. She's got some kind of special pass.
He's
But
loaded now.
he's crazy loaded now.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, maybe it blows back on him because all of these people also died on the boat and they'll figure it out. Like maybe there's a trail of some kind. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's been a couple, like if you watch the post credits bit, I think at the end of the last episode they do an interview with the creator after the credits roll, talking about this season, and I think it was basically the what they used for the article in Variety. I think it was Variety or Deadline or one of those. Um, but talking about how season one was, I forget what they said season one was like about, like generally, but season two was generally about sex, right? Sex and power. Um, and the third season maybe would, if they do one, will potentially be about money, like right, like um but yeah, I struggled with the first season. I almost didn't watch the second season because I just didn't love it. It was so bleak. Um, to me,
And
it just nobody was happy at the end.
yeah, well, yes, there
Maybe the
was
kid,
the
maybe
kid.
the kid,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. You
who's the
know,
only one that got away from everything. Yeah.
yeah, and that
Um,
was beautiful to me.
but he can't stay. Like that's the thing. He's only 16. So what's he gonna do?
He's a
He has
runaway.
no
What do you do?
agency. Like they can't keep he can't stay there. Those people wouldn't keep him because the parents have enough money to be like, hey, if they doesn't come back, that's kidnapping, right? Like he would be totally. And they're in Hawaii. It's a U.S. state. It's not like there's no extradition, right? Like they want their kid back. They're going to get their kid back, unless he can file for um,
Emancipation. Yeah,
emancipation, all that. But he wasn't that smart,
he can get a
like.
lawyer.
But where's
Dude,
he gonna get the
why are you
money?
doing it? You're
No,
totally
I'm just
like,
saying,
no, I
it
hear you. I
just
hear you.
like all these things, like you watch it, and all those things went through my head. I'm like, yeah, he got out, but his parents aren't gonna let him stay. Like, there's just no way. But what I loved about the second season, I think maybe my favorite thing about the second season um, was the girl. Was it Daphne? Is that her name?
Is she the piano player or
No,
which
no,
one?
no, no.
I'm horrible with names.
The wife, the rich guy's wife, not Aubrey Plaza, but the other wife,
The
the one that
blonde?
took her. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. What about
I
her?
love her because she is like actually her and probably the hooker and her friend
Yeah.
are probably the only ones that understand everything going on around them. Like on the one side, the hookers know that it's a job. They're doing this thing, they're going to get their money and they're going to go. And they play the game for that whole week. And what do they do at the end of the week? They walk off laughing with all their money. They took money from the Italian dude, they took money from the rich guys, like the girl got a job playing the piano, which she always wanted. Like they had a good week. You know what I mean? And Daphne, I think it's Daphne. But the wife, she understands the game. Like she was fucking with her husband more than he was fucking with her. And there is at least an implication that she knows that he's cheating,
Oh
so
yeah.
she's just going to cheat. Um, and then the very vague bit at the end, which nobody has answered and nobody knows the answer, is when she walks off, before the end of the show with the other husband to go for a walk on the other island. Did they hook up? Did they, whatever? Because after that, everybody's happy again. It's like the scales have been rebalanced, right? And so there's an implication there that she slept with the other husband to like or did something with him,
As
off on
in
that hidden
as
beach.
in like Aubrey's husband, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because they walk off together. She's like, let's go for a walk. And she takes him to the walk and they walk around the beach and they're walking towards this hidden side of the beach, where they're potentially going to do something. Um, and it's never, there's two times that's implied and you just don't know. And that's one, did Aubrey Plaza and the other husband actually do anything at all?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
she says they kissed. The writer of the show says he believes they did not do anything and that the husband's being paranoid. Um,
They
Aubrey
did.
Plaza thinks they did, but she never saw the final cut of the show. And she did film scenes where they were screwing
Yeah,
around, but those were in the dude's imagination.
right.
So there's when you watch it, there's ambiguity to that. They may
Sure.
have done nothing.
Sure.
And then the same goes for the other wife and the other husband. When they walk off down the beach, they could have totally, you know, shagged on the beach, but they may have done nothing at all. They may have sat
Yeah.
down and had a long conversation about, life and everything that's funky about life. Because at the end, both couples are cuddled up and happy at the airport and waiting for their plane, and everything's good again.
Yeah, I'm looking at what Wikipedia now, Cameron. So Cameron, like what I liked about this show, like it was a much, in my opinion, happier season than
For sure,
season one,
for
right?
sure.
So I think that the people who really kind of ended up the best, in my opinion, are actually Cameron and Harper. And the reason why is because they went in dysfunctional as fuck. And by the end, like he's all about her. Like he actually wants to have sex with her again. And I think that experience actually saved their marriage. Like she kind of learned how to, kind of relax a little bit and just know how to be like sexier. Because again, I keep saying it, but there were a couple of scenes in there that I kind of paused, like, just be real. Like,
Yeah.
even though she was totally like uptight and talking about how life sucks and everything, and how she thought, the other dude was like a douche, but she totally was like into him, clearly. But yeah, by the end of it, their shit was repaired. I also liked Albie because, to me, in the end, he was a good guy all the way to the end. Even though he got played, he still, I think, went to the island with his integrity intact and left with his integrity intact. All he
Well,
wanted to do was the
I
right
think
thing.
he's sort of the opposite of the girl, right? The girl that he was trying to get with at first. Well, I forget her name, was Portia or
Portia, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Where he wanted the good girl, like he wanted her, and when that didn't happen, he kind of fell into that trap for a minute and went for the girl that he knew he was going to get some with, right? Like that was, and not for, it's not a bad thing, but he knew he
No.
was going to get laid that night.
Yeah.
He didn't know he was going to have to pay for it,
No.
but he knew he was going to get laid. And so, but his own innocence bites him in the ass there because he doesn't even understand. He doesn't even grasp that she's a hooker. So
Right.
when that comes up the next morning, that's when she starts playing the long con because she could have,
Yeah. Because she knows.
whatever. Yeah. And so he got played by giving into his baser instinct one time, whereas the other girl got played because she thought that's who she was, that she wanted the bad boy, and then she got the bad boy and it went all the fuck. And so at the very end she's like, shit, this nice guy that wants to be nice, that just wants to spend time with me and talk to me, like he tried to take her everywhere. Now granted, I think that you were talking about the nice guy thing and how that is construed as either bad or just weak, but you still have to account for personal physical attraction. If good boy, bad boy, or whatever, if she wasn't actually attracted to him, and that's the thing, is it never really seemed like she was, because even when he kissed her, she was like, oh shit, like
Yeah,
she,
but I think that was because but that was because, like she said, I think you could have been more aggressive. So I think that he missed his window,
right,
right?
yeah, for sure, for
So I'm
sure.
not sure. I mean, you're right. I agree. Physical attraction is everything. But I think what it was, I think she was into him, but it was his behavior that turned her off, because she even said to like her boss, I just want to be tossed around by an Italian guy. Like she wanted that bad boy thing. So when he did it, it felt forced, it felt fake. It
And
just
it was
felt,
forced, like it felt forced to us too,
yeah.
right?
So it was like, again, I love it, it just dealt with, I'm stuttering so effing much. It dealt with some shit that, like, honestly, I think is very radioactive, dangerous to deal with type of shit. I mean, even I don't know if you watch Euphoria, but on the second season, they also start to go with the whole like, oh, I want a bad boy because like her boyfriend's too nice. They completely just like, shit. It says my connection's unstable, but hopefully you can still hear me. They
Yeah.
completely got rid of that plot line, even got rid of the character. Like it was like they didn't go anywhere with it. So at least White Lotus went somewhere with it. They showed completion. And when she's even like, can I get your number? Like, and he gave it to her. And I guess it's okay. Like, I mean, if I was him, I'd be kind of like, like, what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's the
Like,
thing too, is like just by giving her his number or by trading numbers, it's almost like he didn't learn anything though,
he has.
right? Like
Yeah.
like neither one of them learned anything.
Well, I think
Like
she did.
because I
Going
don't
into
know. I think she's just falling back onto the guy that's there. Like I don't, like she's somebody that has to figure herself out. And she just went through some shit. Like her boss just died, right? Like she's not perfectly stable at this point. So and like I said, Albie, he's got he's got issues that are brought on by his parents, right? Like he is obviously a mama's boy, and not in a bad way, but he prefers his mom to his dad. And so when there's a big fight, like he's on his mom's side, and because the dad's like, "Can you just talk to your mom?" And he's like, "No, dog,
No.
you're fucked." Yeah, he's like, "I'll tell you what, give me $5,000, and I'll go talk to mom." Like he's no dummy. So, but he is just he's a soft guy, and not and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a bad thing. He's just a soft guy. So
Yeah, yeah. And even when like she says like, it's okay to like, and actually so it's funny you mentioned this. So tonight I shared I think it was Vanity Fair. It's an interview with that actor talking about the character. And he's like, it's probably good to just take a few risks. But I'm sorry, man. Like the way I look at it now, like if you are a nice guy and that is who you are, don't. And if someone rejects you because you're too whatever, then they're not for you. Like it's not that
exactly,
serious. You
that's
know
what it
what I'm
comes.
saying?
That's what it comes down to. I think the nice guy thing is that there's a lot of guys out there that say they're nice guys, and then a girl is like, "No, whatever, I want something else." And then the guy turns around, he's like, "Well, fuck you then," and blah blah, and then they go off, thus proving they're
They're
not a
not a
nice
nice
guy.
guy.
So
Yes.
like you see this. I don't know how much you see it in the real world because people are a little more protective of their true selves in the real world, but
But
online
digitally,
and in social
yes.
media and things
Yes.
like that, you see it all the time.
That's the incel shit, man.
Yeah, and
That's the
there's
incel shit.
I mean, I have a lot of friends on social media that are female, and I watch them and just the shit that they have to deal with. And I'm like, it makes it hard for me to be able to say, "Hey, I'm your friend. Hey, I'm here. Hey, we can talk about anything," because even though we have a healthy relationship and they know, like, there is a level of fear there that if they say the wrong thing to me, I'm going to turn around and be like, "Well, fuck you then." And I'm not that guy. Like I'm not trying to steal anybody away. I'm not trying to do anything. So but there's definitely like a fear there, and I know talking to friends that are out there trying to get into the dating world, like women dating, they have to think about so much more. Like just going out to dinner, they're like, I have to make sure I'm going somewhere safe. Like it's hard. It's really it's a weird world. So like I get where there's just apprehension around the whole nice guy, good guy, bad guy, all of it kind of thing, because you just don't know. You just don't know. You don't know if it's a front or if it's real, and if they're going to stay the person that they're presenting. And it's just harder. It's harder, and the internet has given anonymity to people that probably don't deserve it.
Yeah. Do you think She-Hulk tried to get at that?
Not really. And if they did, I don't think they were sensitive enough, because they were relying so much on humor. And again, I think one of my biggest issues with that show, more than anything else, was the length of the show. I don't think it should have been short 27 minutes episodes. You know what I mean? I think that show really would have benefited from having the time to develop its own stories. Um, because it would just go and then bounce onto the next one and never close out anything that was like any kind of a deeper issue. Um, the I personally, like, I loved the Daredevil Walk of Shame. Like there was some fun stuff in there, and it was a comedy. I just think for what it was supposed to be, I think that show needed to be an hour long, or at least 45 minutes long. It just needed more time. It needed more time to develop backstories and things like that.
Fair.
Um,
Well, I know he's
so,
coming. So
well, that's what I hear.
the
That's what I
menu,
hear.
that was a good one. I did watch that, as you know.
Yeah.
And I think also, when I use the word meh-ish, I think I've also been kind of like, I'm calibrating my feedback now, because ever since being, you already know what I'm gonna say, ever since Black Adam, like I'm now like more cautious with my praise, because like, yeah. But anyway, no, it was good. It was we're just gonna dance around a little bit. Like uh even from the jump, I was getting midsummer vibes from it. Just in terms of like being from the outside, traveling, to some place, meeting people, them having some sort of code, they're all being fucking weird, like, yes, chef, like, and that like that the
Yeah,
Somal
very
wherever
culty mentality. But it's a trip because in its own way, and I actually really kind of dug the underlying message in that these people have given themselves over to something that's become such an art form that the art is bigger than the original product. So, like at the end, the only thing that made him fucking happy was to sit down and make that burger that he first made. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't over designed. Nobody was putting shit on a plate with tweezers. It wasn't pretentious. It was just food that made somebody happy. And that made him happy. Right. Like that was the whole point, is like to get back, because yes, the food industry has all these places like this where you could wait. If you want to go to the French Laundry in California, you have to wait a year. Like you have to get on the waiting list. Like you don't get in, you don't get to go. So if you watch a show like Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix and he goes to some of these restaurants that he's able to meet people at and go, it seems like it's just easy to get in. It's not. And then you get a plate where you order a steak and the steak is actually this big, and then it's surrounded by these perfectly cut little things that are all beautiful, and food has become an art. And he even says it at one point. What does he say? He says, "Don't." Does he say, "Don't taste, just eat," or the other way around? Don't eat,
don't eat, taste. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
taste.
yes.
And it's like just eating the food has become so complicated. Like if you watch Top Chef, if you watch Top Chef on Bravo, like number one, it's a fantastic show. Like again, it's actual chefs going through a competition trying to win money so they can build their own restaurants, bolster their own restaurants, do things like that. Judged by top chefs around the world. It's a really good show, but you see these places and they have to do, like, hear the term deconstructed in food all the time, where you take something that's like a burrito and then you separate all the pieces of it, put them on the plate in an artsy way, so you have the flavor of the burrito, but it's not a burrito at all. It's all the ingredients, but deconstructed and separated out, right? And so, like, food is complicated now. For you to go to a fine dining restaurant, for you to go to a restaurant where you're going to pay $200, $300, $400 a plate, like this place would be, like the menu restaurant would be. It's not. It's almost not fun anymore. Like, you're not going to a restaurant for. You're not going to a restaurant for the company. You're not actually going to get full. Like, you're not. All these things that are the fundamentals of eating that we've done our whole life are stripped away, and it's become art, and that's fine. Um, but it makes dude miserable. Like, he's miserable.
So I didn't get a chance to do my post viewing reading like I usually do with the menu, but you kind of answered the most pertinent question for me, which was what was up with the fucking cheeseburger? Like I know she goes into his like office or whatever and sees him in that
Mm-hmm.
black and white photo with the cheeseburger, but then when she actually kind of is like she just kind of knows what to do and actually asks for a cheeseburger, like so that all clicked to you, like you felt
Yeah,
like it all.
yeah. And just the way that because he let her go, because
Yeah.
she was the only person there that got it. And uh, the only problem that I had with the entire movie was the last scene when everybody seemed to have just given in. Like, I was like, these people would still be fighting. Like, there's nobody there that isn't so selfish that they wouldn't fight for their life there. Like, that was the only part I didn't get. Like, I understand it's art film or whatever, um, but I felt like that for as unrealistic as the premise of the show is, anyways. Like, that was like the least realistic part. It's kind of like when we talk about The Conjuring. I can hold on to everything, but when the girl gets dragged all the way down the hallway and then gets held up on the ceiling, I'm like, that's not the shit that would happen. So, like, it turns me off a little bit, but I like the movie enough that I just kind of let it go. And same with The Conjuring. Actually, I really enjoyed The Conjuring, but like, I didn't enjoy that part um as much. But I fucking loved her sitting there on the boat, just watching shit burn.
I gotta tell you, man, like I'm not a foodie, but That made me want a fucking cheeseburger.
right?
Like I
Because
was
dude,
like,
that cheeseburger looked fucking good.
yes,
Like
yeah.
I was like,
Even watching him
yeah,
prepare it and everything, I was like, you know, that's gotta
yeah,
be
yeah,
good.
yeah. But it was like if you watch him do it, it's so basic. Sure, it was probably good ground beef, like very good ground beef. But then the fucking onions on there. But then he even used American cheese. Like that was the thing too, right? So it was this ultra humble thing.
Yeah, but I love how he said, but American cheese doesn't like split or whatever. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah. So that was like, yeah, it was just so well done. No pun intended. I think she said medium too.
Mhm.
Um, man, okay, jumping around a bit, some more. So you have seen uh paranormal activity?
Yes, yeah, I wanted you to talk about that because I have always enjoyed paranormal, right? And I could compare it a couple of times that we talked about the Conjuring to that, in that Paranormal Activity doesn't give anything away for you, right? Like there's no monster
Oh
walking across
God.
the
Okay,
screen.
that reminds me of my text. All right, so this definitely cannot make the show. Okay, just I'm just saying this now. You know, when I'm seeing paranormal activity and like I'm not like I'm seeing some like hints of shit, I'm like, okay, you know. But when like a movie like fucking oh my god, I'm not forgiving fucking Annabelle, dude. Like I was expecting paranormal activity shit. But then you see this fucking black ass demon on the ceiling upside down, like and then he fucking grabs her. Yo, I just turned my shit off. I'm like, I'm good like because I'm a visual person. So
See,
that's
and
what it
that
is.
didn't like that's what was so weird to me is that watching Annabelle, so specifically that scene in the basement when she's down stuck in the basement, she can't get back up from the elevator, like everything's going to shit for her, right? Watching that, there was not a single moment that I was scared. But at the same time, I was watching it and I was like, and it was such a weird thing to have happen to me watching a horror movie because I don't remember ever this happening. But I was like, if I was in her position, if that was happening to me, I would be fucking terrified. Like I would be losing my shit. But watching it on the screen, it just didn't like it was
Yeah,
like there was a real separation for me that I don't think I've had before. And it was weird. And I don't know if that's because it was so good or so bad. Like I don't know. Like I liked Annabelle, but it was a little corny. I like to. It's interesting too because there's a thing for me where I know that the original doll was a Raggedy Ann doll.
mhm.
Like the real Annabelle is Raggedy Ann, and so I'm like, should they have used a Raggedy Ann doll? Because that seemed like you look at it and it's so much less assuming, right?
Innocuous, right?
Right. And so isn't that scarier than just having an ugly fucking doll? Because
Well,
everybody's creeped out by porcelain dolls. Like,
correct,
yeah, I have to think even the people that collect them are like, fuck yeah, I want somebody to come into my house and shit themselves. Like, why do you have porcelain dolls? There's no point.
correct. Because even those like mannequins that are like that people or whatever the ventriloquists like their
Yeah.
little like those things
Yeah.
are scary. But one thing we're seeing here is like Kevin, if you show me the monster, like all fear is gone.
And I
I'm the
mean,
opposite.
unless it's a monster movie, right? Like if it's really like that's the thing. If it's about ghosts and possession and haunting, I want the thing to be
Implied.
feel as real as it can be. So if I could never see it, that means it could be next to me right now. As soon as I can see it, I know I'm not going to see a fucking like. Have you ever seen the monster, the demon from Insidious? Like I've never watched it, but the commercials they always have. He's kind of black because he's got like Darth Vader eyes, like the red and yellow eyes.
I've probably seen it, but actually I got so much to catch up on, and I'm going to. But keep
I
going.
haven't watched Insidious either, so
Okay.
let me know when you watch it.
Word.
Um, excuse me, but I think I just feel like as soon as you see that thing, it becomes less real. It was like what was the one we watched with Patrick Wilson where the kids were all recording themselves becoming murderers. Remember there was like the tree where they hung the
Yeah, yeah,
family.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Sinister? Was it Sinister?
Sinister.
Yeah.
I always get that and Insidious mixed up because they're the same name basically. Um, but like it was at the end when you see like the demon come out and take them into the picture again. I was like, dude, you didn't have to do that. I was like, you didn't need that. Like, I feel like as soon as you need that thing that is tactile, as soon as the thing that you can like reach out and touch
Mm.
in those situations, that's the thing that makes it unreal. Like, if you're going to watch Friday the 13th, you want Jason walking around the whole fucking time, or Mike Myers walking around the whole time. But and no, Friday the 13th is
You
Jason.
had it right.
Halloween's
You had
Mike
it right.
Myers. Yeah. But you want those guys walking around the whole time. You want to see Freddy Krueger the whole time if you watch Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, they're the thing. But if you're talking about ghosts, you're not supposed to, unless it's Ghostbusters, you're not supposed to see the ghost, like.
So I will say, like, you just reminded me of some shit that I definitely blocked out of my mind. So in college, I definitely came across some Jesus freaks, so to speak. And one of them actually said, yeah, no, she legit saw like a demon. Like she said, no, it appeared in front of me. Like like got hand over my heart. I saw it and it totally like confronted me. And that gave me the willies, just saying it. So maybe that's what it is. In my mind, I gotta give you props though, and you're gonna like this, Kevin. In my mind, like, and I lost the thought I was gonna make, so I'm just gonna give you the props point. Props point is you said, I think in one of our chats, you said no one has ever died from possession. I think I'm pretty sure it was you. So then I proceeded to Google, and sure enough, can't see a single fucking death. Like there's some like people who've been malnutrition type shit, but that's not the
Mhm.
demon. That's just fucking like whatever. So now I'm like, I'm not scared. Like I feel like basically movies like so one of our so yeah, movies like Hereditary like are not as scary to me anymore because like yeah, like Paimon is like definitely like part of the lore, but as far as we know in recorded history, no demon has gone into someone and caused them to kill themselves or whatever, or killed them. So I'm not gonna get a Ouija board. I'm not gonna do a seance. I'm not gonna invite that
Yeah,
shit
you're
in
not going to
my
push your luck. You're not a fucking crazy person, right?
but, but it's
Like,
like but I'm now less scared so I can actually watch these movies and also just learn like what not to do if like you find yourself in a situation. And it seems like not pissing it off is one of those things. I
yeah,
love that scene where the guy who like the psychologist, whatever, or whatever, he comes into the house and he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm out. Like this is bad. And this is not my expertise. I'm pissing it off. I'm fucking out of here. Like I'm
yeah,
gone. That was hilarious. Oh
yeah.
man.
And I just thought, like, for me, like, the Blair Witch is the OG. I know there's been found footage films before, and since, but like Blair Witch was the first one to get it right. Blair Witch was number one, a product of his time. We've talked about that before. That was all about the marketing, all about the setup and all that. For me, Paranormal Activity is probably my second favorite found footage
Hmm.
film, because so often they get cheesy, or they kind of break away in a way that doesn't actually line up with what they say they're doing. And Paranormal Activity kind of sticks with it the whole way through. You're watching. Very rarely do you have somebody walking around with a camera. It's usually the home theater system. No, not theater system, home security system. And it sticks with what it's supposed to be. I know that um, the previous iteration of this show, we would have a wheel where somebody had to spin a franchise, and you'd have to watch the entire franchise and then talk about it. And David, who I think you were on with David one time,
Yeah.
maybe not, but David got Paranormal Activity, and he had to watch them all. Um, and they definitely, like, from his explanations, which were awesome. Actually, it was a lot of fun to hear him explain them, because he got very passionate about it, explaining them, even though they weren't very good. Um, like, they definitely deteriorate over
Yes.
time, and like, the believability kind of goes away. A lot of weird, like, just the lore kind of gets bent up, because it's keeping the same history along all of them.
80 and all that shit.
Yeah.
What
So
else? Oh,
Are you
I
guys
was gonna
still
say
talking about
it's the most profitable film of all time, actually.
it's Paranormal Activity, right?
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Because it
yeah,
was made for like nothing.
Nothing.
it was made for like I think I saw the number on that when you said you watched it. I think it was made for like less than 10 million and it made 40, or it's
Oh,
something
it was even
ridiculous.
less
Or it's
than
like
that.
it was
like $100,000.
it was
and
like
it made like
$15,000, 200,000 in post, because that last scene, like where shit really gets crazy, that was made by like the studio after they saw the previous shit.
Mhm.
So like maybe 200 grand, right? It made 194 million at the box office. That's insane. I think it was actually Spielberg who saw it. I remember hearing about it and saying Spielberg, like, he got the videotape and he was so disturbed by it, but he was like, we must have this. Like he was
Yeah.
like, this is amazing. So
yeah, it was like a $230,000 budget. There's 15 G's alone just for the production.
Yeah.
The most was the 215 in post.
Exactly.
Yep.
For the little bit
Yep.
of effects that they did.
Crazy.
Yeah, which is only at the end, because there's never effects. Like,
Yeah.
you see somebody standing in front of
million. Jesus.
standing in front of the basement door. You see somebody stand, like, all these things happen, or the doors all fly open. I mean, that can be done pretty easily. So the only time is at the very end. And again, it's the thing in The Conjuring that gets you, but like, the blanket gets ripped off and then she gets pulled onto the floor and pulled out the door. And it was so, like, for what it was so good.
Yeah.
It's not a great movie. Like, you're not
Yeah.
watching it and being like, gosh, I wonder why they didn't get an Oscar, but for what it is,
And
it's a great movie.
I'm mad at you guys saw me like bitching in the chat. I'm mad at both of them. Like, okay, why the fuck? Okay, didn't you call The Exorcist immediately? Why the fuck did you get a fucking Ouija board? Like, why the fuck?
Why the fuck did you even stay in the house?
Well, no, because it was gonna follow her. Like that, I actually
Yes.
get.
Well,
Yeah. And they get
Well-
into that. They get into that in the sequels, in that this is far more long-standing than it has been in that single house, right? And it goes back to her childhood, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
house
weird.
burned down. He burned
it's
the
got,
fucking
like-
house down.
It's got
Yeah.
all this stuff about witches and the like power.
Well, that doesn't-
powers.
That's like, I think, 4 or 5 movies deep at that point.
Yeah,
But the first 2 or 3 is just about this specific kind of
Situation.
demon or ghost that's haunting them, and why. But yeah, it was a good one. Like, I love it. It's for what it, like I said, for what it is. It's a really good flick.
2 other things I want to just jump into real quick is like The Conjuring also taught me, like, I'm becoming a demonologist. Like, Conjuring taught me that, like, yeah, like, so Pete, you're right. Like, as a kid, I was all about the fucking get out of the fucking house and like go somewhere. But I now know, yeah, no, the motherfucker's following you. Like, it doesn't give a fuck where you
It depends on the possession.
demon. But yeah,
You know?
if it's like, but if it's like attached to you, it's attached to you. But
Yeah.
the other thing I was going to say though is, like, we are literally living in an amazing time. I just saw M3gan. We are living in the horror fucking golden age again. I feel like it's just like
Oh, for sure.
and it's like the first Friday of the new year we get a dope ass fucking movie, and I mean, whatever, I liked it. And then we've got Cocaine Bear, we got like
I'm fucking pumped for
Renfield,
Cocaine Bear.
we've got like a new Saw movie coming out. Like, there's so much coming out. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's why. So if this becomes a horror fucking pop culture show, whatever, I'm all for it.
We do definitely talk a lot about it.
So
But go ahead, Pete.
well, in that, no, because you sound like you're going to say something, because I got something that could lead
Oh,
off.
I was going to ask about M3gan, because I haven't watched it. I'm not going to watch it for a while, but we liked
Tell us
what's
about
it like?
M3gan.
What's it about?
Ha.
I know it's about like a
First of all,
doll.
I love
but
how
it's
we're
like,
all wearing, I think, shades of green. I think you might be. I don't know, but
No.
either way, maybe yours is gray. Okay,
Pete
whatever.
just looks green because he needs a better
Yeah.
camera.
So M3gan, okay, so M3gan, I'm not going to spoil it, but basically M3gan is about a fucking AI doll who looks like an Olsen twin, or fucking Olsen in the MCU.
She looked like to me in the trailer. She always looks a little bit like Scarlett Johansson, like a young Scarlett Johansson.
Okay,
Not like it's hot, like she looks
Yeah.
like, but whatever. But like, just some of the features are the similar.
The other thing I actually liked about the movie, because I'm all about the little details, is remember the little girl from Black Phone with the sass, and she was like so like, emotive. So her little sister is actually the main, like, the daughter of Allison Williams in this movie. So she's the girl that M3gan's protecting. So the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, yo, like, where have I seen you? Because she's acting the exact same way, and it just turns out it's her little sister, but they could be twins. Anyway, So Allison Williams works for a toy company, basically, and she has this like passion project to make fucking Megan. She makes Megan. How much should I say? Okay, I'll just say whatever. So the movie starts off with basically little girl with her parents. They're driving in a snowstorm. They get in an accident, and then basically like the girl ends up a fucking orphan. So Allison Williams takes this little girl in, and sooner or later she gets the bright idea to make Megan to be the little girl's like companion, like friend, guardian, and hijinks ensue. This is going to be a short review because there's not much to the movie, but it's definitely, I would almost describe it like Orphan plus Chucky, plus like maybe like The Good Son a little bit. Like it's just like this fucking doll like is hilarious, and it's just like it's absolutely homicidal, but it does funny shit that I'm just gonna like just say it. Yeah, I'm not spoiling anything. It does some funny shit. I was lucky to have a cool theater because my audience was definitely into it. We were definitely laughing at the right moments. There are some musical moments that happen. The doll, of course, dances. But I will say that all the trailer shit, like when you see the doll running on all fours in the woods, or when she's like, "Okay, now it's time for you to run" or whatever, like they almost don't hit because it's like we've already seen them in the commercial, and they're not even the best part of the movie. So I feel like they did a good job of like saving like the gold for just the movie itself.
That's good.
Yeah, I would just say like proceed without caution. Solid movie. I think my three words were predictable, entertaining, and solid. That's how I would describe Megan.
Is it a possession story, like, or is it just AI gone wrong?
Fucking AI gone wrong.
Yeah,
There's nothing supernatural about it.
Well,
But
I mean, that's about to happen to us, dude. And have you heard about like the thing is called Chat GPT?
No.
So it's a website. You just go to look. I think it's OpenAI dot something or other. If you Google Chat GPT, it is literally an AI. You can just ask questions. People are doing their computer coding, and they're like, "I'm stuck on this." You say, "Why am I stuck on this?" Put in your code. It figures it out for you. You can write like papers with it. You can write news articles with it. You can give it things that you want to talk to.
Yeah.
But this isn't like some silly fun little thing. This is like legit out there. Like you can do full on shit with it. A girl I work with had her daughter do one of her papers through this, like a class level Turnitin paper using this tool.
It just launched November 30th, 2022. Man,
it's fucking Skynet, dude. Like the shit is about to go down. Like the end is nigh. Okay,
I forget who it is. There's a futurist, and I know Michio Kaku talks about this too. But it's like the singularity. We're like we are moving towards that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We are
in all
careening
reality
towards it.
Like it's kind of scary.
That's
Nobody's paying attention to it. We're too busy worried about other little things while all of this is happening.
Well, that's like Elon Musk gets all kinds of shit for Tesla and all this, but he has other companies that are literally about implanting shit in your brain.
Yeah.
And working with your body. Like these things are happening, or at least attempting to happen. Like the next step in human evolution isn't nature. It is us like seriously becoming half robots, like becoming cyborgs. Like
I'm cool.
Like it's crazy. And we're there right now. Like AI may not be like conversationally intelligent, like if you sit down at a computer, but I think it was Google that had the issue where they let two of their AI computers start talking to each other, and they fucking created their own language within like 5 minutes and started going off, and Google was like, nope. They're like, nope, just pulled that shit out because they were like, oh fuck. So like we're on a precipice here, and if we don't have control of it, Megan is the least of our worries. Like it's crazy.
Shit's hilarious.
Take both the pills.
Yeah, but speaking of futuristic robots, and you're talking about Megan, the one thing I think that I haven't talked about, other than maybe Glass Onion, I can talk about. But the one thing that I've been doing the last couple of weeks is my youngest found the original G1 Transformers cartoons on YouTube.
Sweet.
There's a channel, Hasbro. It's called Hasbro, not Hasbro Prime, Hasbro something or other. They have their own channel on YouTube, and they are the original 100% remastered quality original series cartoons. And so they have playlists for each season, and they are in release order, which I have found out is the most fucking confusing way to watch that show.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing when they released that show, but they'd have like an episode here, and then they'd have characters here, and then like 5 episodes later, they'd introduce that character for the first time, even though you've already seen it. I was watching, I was like, how the fuck did we not go insane watching this as children? Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, it was just absolute nonsense.
Are you talking about Skyfire and like the Ultimate Doom?
That's just one, but yes,
yeah.
Skyfire. So Skyfire shows up for the first time, which should have been the second time, and then you meet him for the first time.
Yes.
And then they thaw him out of the ice for the time that you should have met it. Like,
yes, correct.
But it like that's not just it. Like, they do shit with the Dinobots, like all kinds of stuff in the first. And the first season's only like 13 episodes. First season's super short.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second season is like 49 episodes.
Golden Age, 1985, baby. I mean, that's what's
yeah, and I think we've talked about it, but I think the first season was literally created to sell the toys. I think the toys were first, and then the cartoon came out.
Yeah, Diaclone and something else merged together.
Yeah, and then they were like, shit, we need to make a cartoon. And that's what happened the next season, because a 49 episode cartoon was common, because that meant it was on every day for, however long. And so it's Trip. I found a website that kind of breaks down the order that you should be watching them in.
Okay.
Like as far as the order of events that actually happen in the show. So we're trying to watch it like that. And it's funny. Like I remember loving it. I watch it. I definitely have the nostalgia, but it is that show is complete nonsense.
Correct.
Like, it is complete fucking nonsense. Like, bad. I can't tell you how many times Starscream is like, fuck you, Megatron, I'm going to take over. Megatron's like, fuck you, Starscream, you're not going to take over. And then one of them shoots the other one. The next episode, they're like, hey, buddy, fuck you, pew, pew. The next episode, hey, buddy. Like, just all the time. I'm like, these guys, man. Like, it is definitely not modern storytelling.
No, not at all. And even like, it's almost like it for me, it's almost insulting my intelligence. It's almost like the dialogue is terrible. Like, they like each other for a while, and they like, okay, Decepticons retreat. It's just like, but what I was gonna say, which is kind of cool, is like, apparently when they were making the 49 episode season 2, they were making the movie at the same time, which is why like you don't see people like, the second season people like Red Alert and Smokescreen and all of them, and Trax. Okay, there's a couple episodes I actually like I don't know if you ever gotten to them yet, but like Trax and Raoul and fucking Blaster. This is towards the end of like season 2, where it's totally urban in the city. Mm-hmm. And like basically Starscream and Soundwave have a nightclub, and they you remember this, Pete? And the music at dead it. That
was the other thing that blew my son away, was the fucking complete shift in the theme song.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, that's awesome. Did you like it?
It goes 80s as fuck in season 2. No, he was not a fan. Oh. He was like, what just happened? This kid is 12, and he was like, no.
You know what? Props for watching Transformers like decades before you were born. I'm sorry, your kid is a fucking legend. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, he's so dope, dude.
That's the one thing I wish. Okay, if I have kids, we were watching. Dude, I put on I'm such a nerd. I put on Transformers movie tonight as I was just like in the background, but I was like, man, I would love to just watch this with my fucking kid and be like, yo, like, just check this shit out, And I would totally make him watch like the first, not even first season. This may be like More Than Meets the Eye, the first 3 episodes, and then maybe the Ultimate Doom, and then be like, okay, now we're watching the movie, and you can go back and watch the rest. But if I make you watch everything else, you're gonna like cry tears. I mean, like cry blood. Like, Just watch these 6 episodes and then the movie. And if you like this shit, it only goes downhill from here, but it also deepens the fucking context.
Yeah, no, I had almost the same experience with G.I. Joe. And doing the same kind of thing, going back and watching those and remembering how, I mean, I knew they were bad when I was younger, but I absolutely loved them. And I've gone back and watched them, and it's like, whoa, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like stuff that I remember fondly, I like go back and watch and I'm all, oh, this sucks. But then I watched the movie, and the movie's good.
Yeah.
If you're a G.I. Joe fan, but it was definitely like, all right, time to sell the next generation of action figures.
Kill off Duke. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Duke comes back, he's fine. But it's a shift.
So's Prime. Like, you kill Prime. You kill Megatron, you kill Starscream, you kill yeah. It's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to watch because shit does not make sense.
Does he have any favorite characters?
Oh, he loves Prime because he got Optimus Prime, the Lego set that like you build Prime and he transforms. So he turns into the truck, he transforms back and forth, and he's built out of Legos. He doesn't come with a trailer, but it's fucking dope. He loves it. And then a week ago, so it was the first, my son's birthday. We had this whole debacle where we were trying to find somewhere to eat, and it was just a fucking nightmare because everything's closed on New Year's Day. But it's his birthday. So we ended up finding somewhere, and then we're like, fuck, we should find a comic book shop. And I was like, dude, I think everything is closed. And I found this one in Hartford, Connecticut. And I don't have the name of it on me. I'll have to find it. But this dude is an OG. Like, this guy has been running comic book shops since the 80s. This one is like in the basement of a house, like, because everything in Connecticut is built, like every business is in a house, right? Like, and so like it's actually, I think the upstairs is either a doctor's office or a dentist, and then the basement, which sounds like it would be some like seedy place. No, this dude, because he's been doing this for 40 plus years, he understands what a comic book shop and now a collectible shop should look like. There is room to walk around. There's space. Like, there's only a handful of collectibles because he knows that if they're not selling, you're losing money. So I actually ended up talking to this dude for like 45 minutes just about comics and the business. And he said that, he advises a lot of people, but people want to open their own shops and they'll go buy a bunch of collectibles out of the gate and just put them out. And then they'll never sell them for less than they paid for them. And he says the problem with that is that if you put something on the shelf, you've already paid for it. So when you're complaining about not getting your money back for it, you've already lost your money. So if you never sell it, if it's a $200 thing, you're out $200. You're just out $200. So he's like, I will knock it down 25% for a week, and then I will knock it down for 50% for a week, and then I'll move it into this other rack and just hope I make my money. And he doesn't, like, he has a lot of collectibles, but not so much that it's crazy. Dude, I was like a fucking child in this shop. Like, it was heaven for me. And I have been to other comic book shops out here. I've been to a couple of big ones in Boston when I was there. I've been to a big one in New York, and they all have that big comic book shop feel, which is cool. But this was like the perfect like childhood comic book shop. I went in there and just like talked business with this guy and stared at comics on the wall, the collectible comics, the valuable CGC grade comics. This dude was actually one of the ones that created CGC, the where they seal up your comics and give them a number.
Okay.
He was actually one of the people that invented that. He's like, I let myself get bought out too early. But he also, like, he understands the ebbs and flows of the business and even how COVID impacted it and how some stuff shot up in value when COVID hit. And he's like, if you buy that as an investor, you're going to be fucked. If you are a comic book investor, go back and buy old shit. Buy the shit that is Superman. Buy the stuff that is old X-Men. Buy original Spider-Man. Buy these things. But all these people in the 90s that bought like Witchblade or this other stuff, thinking it was going to be the next big thing and spending all kinds of money on it, they all lost money because nobody cares anymore. But this place was dope. And like, so my youngest, who's now watching the Transformers, found a Transformers Cybertron series, Optimus and Megatron. So he bought those. My oldest got a couple of D&D books there. My middle got an autographed mini helmet from a football player. Like, that's like the variety of this place that is just a big basement was just incredible. And I was like, I will go back there. Like it was awesome.
So what was your son doing this whole time as you were like kidding out?
Dude, they were totally wandering the store, all of them.
Yeah.
My wife was in there,
okay.
like everybody was there, and they were just wandering. The dude had stacks of comics like sealed together. So if you wanted to buy like Spider-Man, whatever run it is, 1 through 50, he had them already sealed up. You could just buy all 50 of them. And if one was missing, it'd be labeled. But otherwise, you could just buy 50 comics to like solidify your collection. And sometimes they were expensive, sometimes they weren't. Like he had a stack of 100 that was like $120, which is basically $1 a comic. But if you buy that, you're filling out, like, because down in my basement, I have like 2 long boxes that are just dedicated to Superman comics. Like I have a shitload of Superman comics, and that's not even a dent in like the world that Superman comics is, right? Like it's been around for so long that even if you just go with Action Comics, I think they've gone over 1,000 now, 1,000 issues of just Action Comics. That doesn't include Superman. That doesn't include all the spinoffs and all that shit. So there's a few, but it was cool. Like it was a cool fucking place to go. So like I'm with my youngest through these all these things of like reliving my childhood now with him, which has been kind of cool. So I'm stoked because I have no idea. We're almost halfway through season 2, I think. So we'll eventually get to the movie, and then we'll watch that. So that'll be fun to actually have him watch something that actually has some real production value behind it. Because there's moments. There's definitely moments both in season 1 and season 2. Like you said, the first 3 episodes, the more that meets the eye. That's a good.
Yes.
You know, it's a little corny. Like there's definitely, like as an adult, you watch it and you're like, why would Teletran pick up the Decepticons? Why would they even bother? Why would you do this shit? Like, what are you doing? Why does Megatron turn into a gun and shrink and everybody has to hold him? But if he just stands up, he's got a gun on his arm that shoots everybody. Like, you know,
but it was so great. I remember even my mom was saying how like when the moment my mom respected Prime was when Ironhide goes after fucking the Decepticons, and Prime's like, no. And anyways, after he gets shot down, Prime goes, remember, there's a thin line between being a hero and being a memory. You know, my mom was like, yes, son, that's it. Don't try to like, you know, and I was just like, wow. And then also my nephew was like when Megatron was like, I mean, when Prime was like, Megatron, like at the end, like when the settles is going off, he's like, give me your rocket pack, and like he's like snapping at like there were some pretty cool moments in that More Than Meets the Eye. Like so that pilot I think is almost the closest thing to the movie, and I can't believe we're talking about this. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it's on fucking YouTube. But Pete hasn't said anything, and I want to make sure Pete tonight.
No, I was just going to say that makes me want to go back and watch The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah.
And watch the Transformers episode, because it talks all about that, like all the way through. And I have fond memories of that stuff. Andrew, like that's one that we have in common, the Transformers stuff, and that's cool.
Yeah. The channel I remembered is Hasbro Pulse. So if you go to YouTube, they have playlists for each season, so you can just go to the playlist, watch the entire season. And
did you notice anything else interesting on there?
I haven't bothered to look yet. But I would imagine that anything Hasbro is probably in there. I think because they have no problem putting commercials into their shows, they're making money every time somebody watches them. Excellent. So why bother? This is what I've always wondered. This is what I've always wondered. If you have this old stuff, will you make as much money putting it on Netflix as you would just putting it on YouTube and getting your own ads? At least some of the time they actually time their ads so that they show when the original commercials would have showed. it doesn't happen all the time, but every now and then you get that cut where they're like, and where it cuts, laser beak flies across the screen, and then it goes to commercial, and then it comes back, and I was like, for the few of those, I was like, this really is like being a kid. Like it takes you back to the way that it was. So it's cool. It was a lot of fun. So
I'm just trying to. There's just so much stuff on this. Okay, so Transformers season 1, season 2,
all
G.I.
4
Joe
seasons are
full
on
episodes.
Oh God, season 4 doesn't count because it's only 3 episodes and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Season 3,
even the art is terrible.
Yeah, season 3, half of the season is terrible because I don't know if you guys remember. Okay, so the animation went to shit because they went with this studio called ACOM, which apparently is also known for, believe it or not, The Simpsons, as well as X-Men, as in the 90s X-Men, okay? But Toei did everything before that. They did the movie. Oh, ACOM did do a few episodes of like season 2, like the drill one and like something else, and they're terrible. But anyway, season 3 had uneven animation. The storytelling, though, was actually, I think, a bit more sophisticated. And I think it had to be because, like, it's supposed
because they're coming off the movie.
Yeah. And it's particularly Rodimus, like, because that guy's he was a insecure motherfucker, and of course you are because you're following Prime. Anyway, I might give season 3 another look because, and you're also dealing with like Galvatron and how he's fucking insane, and he actually goes to an insane asylum at one point, and they have to deal with that shit, and like fucking Cyclonus is like trying to like like take care of him. Like it's pretty fucking cool. Or the best part, sorry, I got excited, is like Courage takes the Matrix and puts it inside his body, so he's all like corrupt and shit. He's all like fucked up because like the Matrix fucks him up, becomes evil and powerful. And basically, this woman is running, and she's like, "Oh no, we'll be killed!" And then Scourge goes, "Impressive. The woman is clairvoyant." I'm just like, "Yo, that's hilarious to put in the kids show." The fuck. Anyways, I just had to throw that in.
Yeah.
All right. I would excuse me. You talk about like if you had a time machine and you go back and you could tell yourself something. I would tell myself to go back in time and buy up all the future rights to publication on new media for all that cartoon shit that push toys. And then now you'd have a channel that you could just stream all that. Like you'd have masks, like Mask, and
I would totally watch Mask again. I know it'd be terrible, but I'd love that toy too. I love those, dude. That show is dope. I don't care what anybody says. That show is great.
I'm refusing to sing the theme song, but it is totally blasting in my brain right now. I'm not going to do it, but it's there. Just so you know.
God.
Working overtime.
Mask was dope.
Fighting crime.
I don't know. I got a lot of nostalgia with that. Actually, when Disney Plus first came out, and I got to skim through all the old cartoons that were on there, the 80s stuff that was instantly there. Like I made my kids watch Gummy Bears. No, we watched some of that. We watched some of the Super Friends. Gummy Bears was the shit.
I loved Gummy Bears, dude. I watched Gummy Bears every fucking day.
Okay, and
I can still sing the theme song. Gargoyles, yeah. You know what? I never watched Gargoyles. I need to watch that because just as a Star Trek fan, there's a ton of Next Generation actors in there.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's deep.
Michael Dorn is a major character in it. I think
probably the big guy, most likely.
Yeah. That's fun to watch. Yeah, I don't know.
Robotech still holds up.
This does. I own it. I bought it for like $4 a season.
I'm still mad though that it's not the original broadcast version. I'm telling you, the original broadcast version was better.
I'm sure.
It's like the sound effects are different. The music is kind of synced better. I mean, it's not that big of a difference, but it's enough of a difference where I'm like, and I know why they remixed it, because I think it's a rights thing. It's almost like they remixed it so they can make more money because like the people who own it now like want to make as much money as possible, so they remix it and then just have to put it out versus leaving it original. But the original one is just 10 times better. But anyway, anyways, I just, when I love something, I'm obnoxious with my shit. My brothers hated New Edition growing up because I would not shut up about them.
Anyway. I can believe that. I could completely believe that.
They hated New Edition.
So Kevin, you watched The Menu, it looks like.
I did. We talked about it at the beginning, but I will talk about it again. Did
Oh,
you watch
sure.
it?
No, I didn't.
Well, then I'm not going to talk about it. You can just watch the episode like a
Okay,
normal
well,
human
good then.
being. See what we talked about. It was really good, but I don't want to really give anything away. So I would say watch it
Okay.
between now and Wednesday, and then catch up on what we talked about because it was cool. But there's definitely I have a take on it that Andrew and I kind of talked about and what I think like the whole thing meant. So I would definitely say to watch it before you watch the episode and catch what we talked about because it was interesting. I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I think right now everything she's touching is turning to gold. I think she's just red hot right now. And like really everything else in it was kind of ancillary. It was even though she wasn't like I would say the chef is probably the main character. Like it was kind of between those two, and then everybody else was kind of ancillary. Even Judith Light from Who's the Boss? You know, no, yeah, Who's
No,
the Boss?
you're right. Who's the boss?
Okay, but no, she's also from Law and Order SVU.
Okay.
No, she's from Who's the Boss?
She's had a recurring
Don't
role.
be ridiculous, dude.
Angela
Don't be ridiculous.
Maselli.
Yeah.
Angie.
Well, was she Maselli at the end?
Oh, you're right.
Because she wasn't Maselli in the beginning.
Yeah, I spoiled the fucking sitcom. Sorry, guys.
Dude, I'm telling you,
the 40-year-old sitcom.
There are probably a lot of guys out there that have weird fetishes for like older redheaded women because of that show.
Because of the grandma?
Mona. Because of Mona.
Okay, first of all, her mother. Yeah,
Mona was hilarious.
She was funny. I don't like redheads, but I didn't like them when I was a kid for some reason. I like them now. Anyways, moving right along.
Yeah. What else did you watch, Pete? Since you came late to the parade.
Well, you said you could talk about Glass Onion. I watched Glass Onion.
Did you watch Glass Onion?
I watched Glass Onion.
Andrew did not, so I don't want to ruin it for him. I guess he's over here.
Oh, see, I got him down.
There we go. But it was so Glass Onion. Did you like it?
I really liked it. Reviews. So because I didn't watch it right away and I got to see a lot of headlines about things, even though I didn't get anything spoiled for me, I still saw like I didn't go into it thinking it was a Knives Out movie because of like what Ryan Johnson said about how it was the only thing really that it has in common is
Daniel Craig's character.
Yeah, and it's tough. I'm trying to think of good ways to talk about it without giving anything away, without specifics.
I would just say, number one, I actually kind of predicted not the entire end, but like what was happening. Like I had a pretty solid idea of who was doing what pretty early on. And I don't know that there was necessarily a giveaway or if I just felt like that's what it was. Like I can't point to one thing that I was like, that was so obvious that it was this.
Right.
The one that I had in the back of my mind as being super obvious was the homeless dude walking around with Daryl or whatever. That was like, part of me was like, oh, he's doing it all.
Like, yeah, I thought the same thing. No spoiler, but
yeah. And but number one, I mean, just getting, if you don't get into the details, I loved the cast. I thought they were all great. I do find it funny that Dave Bautista is excited to get away from Drax, and then he basically played human Drax on an island. Like like maybe it was a little more energy, but same kind of thing. But I mean, everybody was great. Like, what's Goldie Hawn's daughter's name? I always forget her name.
Kate
Hudson.
Kate Hudson. There you go. She was great. I talked about, I love Jessica Henwick. Her part was pretty small in this. And then Janelle Monáe was awesome. She was great. She did some really good work in it. Like, just as an actress, did some good work in there. Besides just being unbelievably beautiful, like she did some cool stuff. I mean, Bautista was funny. Like I don't have a problem with David Bautista. I don't even think he's a bad actor or anything. But he was just Dave Bautista. He was funny. Like he was solid.
I
Ed
thought the
Norton was
exact same
good.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ed
And
Norton was interesting. Ed Norton made me love and hate the character at the same time.
yeah. Yeah.
Like you respect what he's doing, but I'm like, oh, this dude is so just bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I mean it was a good. Daniel Craig was great. Um
Yes,
and
amazing.
he's definitely the same character from Knives Out.
Oh yeah,
You know,
but it's not fair to call it
well, I mean, it depends on how you define Knives Out.
right. It's
Like,
Knives Out esque. I think until we
yeah,
get like several more movies like this from him, you really
well,
can't
it's a,
call
it's
it
a,
anything.
yeah, it's a comedic murder caper. I mean, it's basically like live action Clue without being Clue. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to figure out who the bad guy is. You've got, he's basically Mr. Body, right? Running room to room trying to figure shit out.
Yeah,
And but it worked. I mean, it was good. I really enjoyed the movie overall, and I would definitely say to watch it. I know there's detractors, the people
yeah,
that felt it was too silly or too predictable or too X, Y, and Z. But if you just go in for a good time, I think you're going to be pretty,
exactly,
pretty happy with it.
Boss
exactly.
Logic, actually, he was the first person I read with an opinion on the film. And Boss Logic is typically a
He's pretty
pretty,
dope. Yeah.
yeah, but he actually was like, he didn't like it. He said, I think you missed with this one. And I was just like, whoa, so then I was kind of like, I guess Homeboy is like a Ryan Johnson. I guess the only good thing he did was like the first one or whatever. And then someone like attacked me and I blocked their ass. Anyway, the but but that said, no, I've been getting mixed reviews. Like I have friends who have said that they like the first one better. I have friends who said they like the second one better. So there was enough like that
I
I was
would say, yeah, I would say I like the first one better.
okay.
I think that the first one felt just a little more grounded,
Yeah.
just a little more realistic. Um, I mean, it's not like if you watch it, it's definitely not, but it felt a little more level-headed. This one was definitely a broader comedy
Okay.
than the first one. Um, but it was, like I said, it was good. Pete, you didn't have your headphones on, but I was comparing
Sorry.
the first two. I said the second one is more, the comedy is broader in the second one than it is in
Yes.
the first one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Much broader.
So
But that's the tone though. It goes
yeah, it's
like
fine.
it's not as quick as it was in the first one. Like I don't know, and no, it's not calling it Python-esque because
Yeah, it's not quite there, but it's just
More
more over the
farcical.
top.
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. The first one was
Um,
more of like a dark comedy, I would say. And
yeah,
I think that what's her name was such a good Toni Collette, I think was definitely a big part of the first one. That was actually the first one I'd ever seen her, but she made such an impression just in that
oh
movie
yeah, I
that I
love
just
Tony
knew
Collette.
the name Toni Collette. So yeah, everyone in there I think brought their A game. Christopher Plummer, he's a fucking legend. Like he's like so
Yeah,
yeah. The first one just had the first one I think gravitas, and I think like major stars. There's people I'm forgetting, but there's some big names in that first one.
well,
Um,
also some interesting names like Don Johnson, who wound up being like a
yes,
standout in a lot of ways in the first one. I
and
didn't
Anna
think
de Armas.
yeah.
Chris Evans, like yeah, I
Yeah,
mean yeah,
I love that. Was such a
He
great
was
role for Chris
amazing.
Evans to take because it
yeah,
was right on the heels of Captain America. Like he
yes,
needed to do something different,
and he
and it
did.
was fun to just see him be kind of a douche. Like he kind of needed that palate cleanser to let him go out and do whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, but this
So
was
yeah,
this was just a fun little ride. Like just enjoy the little murder
Yeah,
mystery. Like enjoy some crazy performances. Um I think it is Knives Out esque if you look at the way like the structure of the story changes in a way as it goes. It doesn't rely on the flashback as much in a way. Um
well, there was somebody, who was it? Is it Ben Shapiro? I think, who's a total fucking moron, but he was like, He was like, "Oh my god, I was so pissed after an hour they totally redirected the murder." And I was like, "It's a fucking murder mystery, dipshit. They're not supposed to give you the end." Like, it's like you're
I
just
know.
bitching to bitch. No, nobody goes into a 2 hour movie and an hour in, they're like, "Oh, cool, we know who the murderer is. I guess we'll just wrap it up over the next hour." Like, that's not how it works. Like, especially if it's a comedy. If it's a murder comedy, you're not going to know what's happening until the last like 5 minutes. Like, that's the whole point. Like,
Huh.
it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to, you as the audience member are supposed to be wrong. That's what makes it the best. Is that you think you figured it out and you're wrong, and if it's in a ridiculous way that fits the story, that's even better. Like, that's how comedy works. And like, I was just like, why would you think you're gonna know what's happening? And why wouldn't they throw a giant red herring at you or a giant
Right.
twist at you? Because I was just like, you're dumb. So
So before we get off of this movie, you just reminded me of something about when you talk about Dave Bautista. So one of the best parts about going to the movies is you get to see these trailers. So this trailer came out for this movie called Knock at the Cabin.
no.
Um, are you guys familiar?
Our good friend M. Night Shyamalan
You are
just
familiar.
bringing
All
it
right.
back. Yeah.
All right. I was intrigued for a number of things. Like number one, it's like I love end of the world shit. Okay. Love that shit. Love it. So obviously Moonfall, right?
There's the twist. It's not the end of the world.
So like there's planes falling out the sky and shit. And I think it's really progressive, okay, that it's a gay couple, like two men, and they've got like adopted daughter, and fucking Baptiste is like, I'm a leader of this cult, and like we don't come to everyone, but we're coming to you because either you sacrifice one of your fucking family members or the world ends. What's it gonna be, bitch? What's it gonna be? You know, and like I don't know, I'm down, you know. So the kid's running away in the trailer, they bring her back, and it's just kind of like, but I'm really buying the whole like, you know, the two men who are like their parents, like, you know, we promise each other we're gonna like blah blah blah, whatever, with you till the end of the line. I'm being an asshole. Anyway, point is, sorry. Anyway, sorry. It looks cool, man. Like and Dave Bautista isn't Drax. He's more like the guy he was in
Stuber.
Blade Runner. I was gonna say I
Stuber.
but you know, he's just kind of like this like Thanos-esque, like he believes what he's doing, but he's the fucking villain. Like I don't know, I'm excited. It comes out in like March, I think. No, February. Oh shit, it's like next month, dude.
I can't wait for you to come back and be like, dude, I got totally Shyamalan. Like,
Yeah.
just like that guy has gotten so good at making it seem like his movies are going to be
That's
good.
right, because the last one he did was old, right? So you guys,
yeah,
you guys hated it. I was okay with it, but you guys hated it. So.
Yeah, you know what?
Oh,
Though?
I just had so
my
many
10-year-old
problems with the
loved
end
it
of that
for,
movie.
Yeah,
So many problems just with the end. Like how everybody was just like, "Oh, you used to be 13?" Perfect sense. We believe you. I was like, no, there's no fucking way. Nobody, if somebody walked up to you at a hotel and was like, oh my God, I finally got back. 2 days ago, I was 13 and now I'm 90. I'd be like, cool, you sit there. I'm going to 5150 your ass. I'll be right back. Like, no one would ever believe that.
sir,
Like,
have you been drinking?
Yeah, I'm not old enough to drink.
All right, that was my plug for a movie that might suck.
Yeah, I hold all judgment. Like I keep hoping that he's gonna figure his shit out again, and he just keeps making movies that suck. Like that's my biggest fear with um Jordan Peele. Like I'm like, please don't go Shyamalan, because he's been doing so well. Like his stuff has been working so well. And I'm just like, God, please, please, please. If you make one that bombs and you can't figure it out after that, just stop. Don't make 58 more shitty movies. Like,
you know who fell off? I think Spike Lee kind of fell off. Like I feel like his early shit was like pretty good. Like I mean, She's Got to Have It, indie film, then School Days, then of course Who's Right Thing just blows shit up, and then I'm gonna mess up the order, but then he peaks with fucking Malcolm X, and then after that, yeah, he just kind of lost his like. Sorry if you're Spike Lee or know any, but if you know him, like I'm sorry, you know, it's nothing personal. It's just that you know, when I watch Mo Better Blues or Jungle Fever, like you had a run, and like your dad did the score too. So I'm showing reverence now. Like that whole 88 to like 93 era was just like, you were prolific and it was amazing, and your shit was like gilded. So, but I just feel like everything after that hasn't been as dope. Sorry, it is what it is.
It's just so hard. Like
A love
who
letter to
in this
Spike
world?
Lee
Yeah,
by
who
Andrew.
who in this world is Steven Spielberg? Like, who can just keep making gold? Like, I mean, you
He
can
is the
say
most prolific.
Cameron,
Scorsese,
but
maybe.
but he doesn't make as many.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
Cameron.
well, I mean,
Cameron. You're
he
right.
definitely doesn't
You're
make as many, but the ones that he makes make the money. I mean, I still haven't seen Avatar. I'm not going to watch it till it comes out on Disney Plus, but
Yeah.
um,
Cameron. You're
he
right.
he did it. I mean, he
No, I
fucking
was
did it. He
watching a
fucking
scene. Oh, sorry.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was watching a scene from Aliens. Like it was like a cut scene with Burke, that fucking
Mhm.
asshole Paul Reiser. Like basically, like he's implanted, and she gives him a fucking grenade to like blow himself up, a mercy grenade. But I'm watching it, and it's like, this doesn't feel like 1986. This feels more modern. Like, it was crazy how in the moment I was, even though it was an old ass film. Like, yeah, love him or hate him, dude, Cameron's a talented dude. So I think you kind of hit on the head, Pete. I think when you were asking the question, which directors have longevity, who fucking keep their shit and don't lose their touch, he's actually improved as he's gotten older. That's crazy as far as
Oh,
technical.
and I feel like he's a rarity because he took a significant amount of time off. Like, yes, he worked on this second Avatar movie for a long time, but between the first Avatar and this one, he didn't do a lot. Instead, he was diving. He was making
Yeah.
documentaries. He was doing other shit, and he, it's impressive. Like, I really, I wanted to punch him in the dick when he was talking about the next one, and how fucking, like, how awesome he is. And that, like, seriously, that's my biggest turnoff for the movie, is just him, as a human
No,
being. But I mean, I can't argue with the numbers. I can't say it's a good film yet because I haven't watched it. At this point, I assume it is. I've seen enough people say that they've really enjoyed it, um, that I assume that I will. But it's going to be a hard watch for me because of how long it is.
mhm.
It'll take me 2 or 3 sittings to watch, in my house, and if I watch it with the family, it'll take 5 or 6. It's so fucking long. Um, and now he's getting, because he basically was like, well, I guess you guys made it, so I have to make more. I was like, oh, stop being a douche. Just be less of a dick. Just say thank you and make some more movies. Like, fucker. So, okay, so you saw it though. You saw it in the theater.
Yeah, man, and I gotta
Was it,
say,
was it so much prettier than everything out there right now? Like, technically speaking, was it visually so much better than everything out right now?
yeah. I mean, it was like, I mean, it's like, okay, so it's not like, okay, remember how Avatar, the first one that came out, like, and that was just like leaps and bounds over everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I wouldn't say this was like leaps and bounds, but it's still better. Like, it was more vibrant. It was just very effervescent, if you will. Like, it was just very bright. That's the other thing. This movie took place mostly in the daytime and in the water until it was at night. But just like the characters themselves, it felt like animation, honestly. And that's the craziest part about it, right? It's like, but it is animated, but it's like, but there's real people under it, and it just felt like, I don't know, it was just, the water, and just, it was just, it just, it's immersive. That's the
Yeah.
word I'm looking for. It's fucking immersive. And what I will also, I haven't done it yet, but I want to watch the first one again because it's definitely tied to the first one. Like, consequences from the first movie absolutely like drive the things in the second movie. But it's been so long, I'm like, wait, how did that happen again? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're kind of like, how did that, like, so, but you just go with it, because but I do want to rewatch it. It's got to give props to Pete really quick. We had like a get together, like a meetup, and looked like people weren't going to show up, but he actually did show up. So when you see this later, just thank you, Pete. You're the fucking man. But anyway, back to the regular schedule of programming. It did look immersive and amazing, and he hit it out of the park, man. And again, it's not an Academy. Well, actually, it might win for effects, but as far as like the story and everything else, it's nothing like profound. But I think that his job was to not make a sucky, shitty sequel. Okay, and he pulled that off. It's not a sucky, shitty sequel. It actually was a decent film.
Well, and I would argue that story wise, the first one, there's nothing original in the first one.
It's
You know,
Dances with Wolves
story
with the
itself.
Blue Man Group.
Exactly. Like it's not.
Yeah.
He didn't reinvent the wheel there. It was the technical marvel that made it big. And I remember I saw it at least twice. I remember I saw it once regular and then once in 3D. And the 3D, the entire film wasn't in 3D, but like segments of it were, like especially like when you went into that big control room where they have the map and they're doing all that shit. That whole thing was 3D. And it was super. I mean, it was cool. Like it was really great. Um, so I know I saw the original more than once. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch this one when it comes out on streaming for sure.
So wait, real quick, just to recap. Sorry, I know I'm tail ending on Avatar 2 here. So basically, what you're saying is like it's been 10 years since the first one, right?
Over 10 years.
Oh, it's been more than that. Yeah.
Okay, so we waited like a really, really long time
Oh.
for like the Matrix 2, basically.
Yes. Yeah, but except the Matrix 2 didn't tell like a complete story. It was really a bridge movie that a bridge to nowhere. No. But like this movie is its own fucking story. And yeah, I mean I'm surprised I didn't talk about the plot, because even the plot's like pretty good. Like it expands the shit. Like there's definitely more to Pandora than what we see in the first movie.
Do they still put their hair wieners in all the animals?
Yes. 100%, dude.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, and Sam Worthington, whatever, he redeemed himself. Like, I think one of my kind of things was like, okay, I don't care about you anymore. You're a has-been. So, but you're the fucking star of the movie. So how is this gonna work? He pulled it off. Like it's like you pulled it off. So hopefully he has a comeback now, or at least he's back as, Blue Man, Avatar, Jake Sully. That's his character.
Yeah.
I see you, Jake Sully.
Yes. Have you, Peter? You're the only one. Have you watched anything at all that we haven't talked about?
I mean,
in the last 2 weeks.
I'm trying to think about. I mean, I watched Inventing Anna.
I
don't know what that is.
I've heard mixed things about that one. It's fucking, what's her name? The southern
Anna Delivey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruthie.
So
Ruthie.
it's the story. So it's the story of this German heiress who's not really a German heiress, who cons all these people into getting all this money to start a company in LA. Yeah, it's sorry, I'm just getting over a little cold.
Oh. I think everybody is.
It's the story of the article that Anna Chomsky is trying to write about her, and it's a true story based on her story and like her involvement in it and stuff. So it's fairly accurate as it goes. And you can I Googled a lot along the way as we watched it, but it's fun because it keeps like each time something happens, you're like, this can't be, get the fuck out of here. No, are you serious? Like each time something happens, you're like, this, what the fuck? Like all the time throughout the show. So it's a good one. It goes quick. You could knock it out in a day, really, if you want to be like super lazy.
How many episodes?
I forgot, like 9.
Shit, that's yeah. I my attention span is terrible. That would take me a week at least. Is each episode like an hour?
Like 45 to 55, yeah. But it's pretty good. It's fun. I watched that. I did watch one thing over my little hiatus that's been I don't think we ever talked about. I watched all of Shameless.
Oh. The American version.
The American version. Didn't watch the British version yet. Dude, that show is fucking killer.
Yeah, it's a good show. I
Like
never
it's
watched all of it, but it was a good show. I know she leaves in the last season or two, doesn't she?
yes, and there is a fall off and a change in the plot lines in the story and where things go. It's rough, but all in all, you only have a few seasons of that. There's characters that you wind up hating and loving. Like the show is amazing because you hate every one of these people at one point and you love them all at one point, and you sometimes feel both for all of them at the same time.
No, Frank is such a piece of shit. Frank is wildly unlikable.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And it has actually, in the weirdest way, the best ending for that show actually happens. Frank dies. I'm not giving any spoiler away. Like that's super Googleable. So if you're gonna watch it through. But know that at the end, yes, Frank dies. But just the way they do his death and him going off to wherever he's supposed to go, it's crazy. But yeah, that's really about it for me. That I think that's really notable. You know, watched Maverick a couple of times. That's out on Paramount Plus.
I need to watch that one again. I
That
watched
it's so good.
On Amazon Prime. I watched The Peripheral. I think maybe I started talking about it one episode a while back, but The Peripheral is Chloe Grace Moretz. And it's got a few comparisons to Westworld. It's not Westworld, but the story is effectively that people from the future are able to communicate with us it's not even us, it's still our future. So you have what is the present of the show, which is like 2032, and then a further future, and they're able to talk back, and they can take your mind and put it into essentially a robotic body in their time, and that's your peripheral. It's a trippy show. It was pretty good. Chloe Grace Moretz is awesome. I think she's a really good actress. She's a young, upcoming, solid actress. I know that I should recognize more names in the show, but I don't know who they are off the top of my head. But that's just my lack of knowledge. But it's good. It's Amazon Prime production quality. Like they put money into it, did all that. So it's definitely worth a watch. I haven't watched Jack Ryan yet. I keep forgetting about that one. I need to go watch Jack Ryan because that's out.
Yeah.
I think on Netflix, I kicked off the first episode of Treason, which stars one Mr. Charlie Cox in his natural habitat. He's British. He's an MI6 agent who's the head of MI6 is not killed, but there's an attempt on his life. So he has to take over. Like he's next in line to move up to take over as the head of MI6, at least temporarily. And there's a bigger mystery at play. I'm only an episode in, so I can't spoil it because I have no fucking idea what's happening. But that's the one where I commented. I was like, how the fuck does Charlie Cox actually look blind? Like he doesn't look at anybody when he's talking to them. He always looks like Matthew Murdoch talking to somebody, where he's just kind of like his eyes, like you're here, and his eyes are like here because he doesn't know exactly where you're. Like it's so weird. It's unnerving. I guess he's just always Daredevil. But
superheroes, they walk among us.
Yes. But yeah, I'm gonna get caught up. I think this week I'm hoping to get into Kaleidoscope. I think Andy's the only one that watched it, so it makes it actually good. Nobody else watched it. If we can get him on the next episode, I think that'd be great. But for those that don't know, Kaleidoscope is the show that they filmed like 8 episodes of, and they don't give a fat fuck what order you watch it in. They're like, you can watch it in any order you want, and the story will mean something a little different to you depending on the order that you watched it in. So I'm super curious about that. Somewhere I should have written it down, but somewhere in our chat is the order that Andy watched it in. So I want to make sure I at least watch it in a different order than he did. So that if we talk about it, I can, come up with a different take on it.
Ooh, that would be a good assignment.
Yeah,
I don't do it. That involves like math type things. So Kevin, you should assign each of us a different order that we have to watch it in.
And there's actually like recommended watch orders. If you go out there, there's a chronological order, like of the events that happened in the different stories, because they are at different times. There's one that has like certain character events in a certain order, so you watch them in that. It's a trip. Like I don't know anything about it. I actually don't know the plot of the show at all. I just know that when they dropped the explanation of the show, I was like, okay, I need to fucking watch that. Like, just that they're like, you can watch it in any order you want. We don't give a shit. And I was like, that is a ballsy thing to say as somebody producing the show. They're just like, yeah, whatever, just do it. It's just eeny meeny miny mo.
It's Giancarlo Esposito that just has me sold. Like the fact that he's actually.
Oh, is he in that?
Oh,
I don't even know who's in it.
Rufus Stoll. Like both of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh no,
Nice.
the cast is great.
So those two, I'm in.
Yeah, that's a solid cast right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm stoked for that one. I want to watch that. I watched The Conjuring 2.
Oh,
did you ever get there?
No, but I'm gonna watch that, dude. Okay, so first of all, I'm definitely watching Kaleidoscope, but then I was gonna go to Conjuring 2 next week. So maybe we'll be ready for the next show, unless you want to talk about it. Like I'm
no. I'll wait. Definitely,
right.
it's
I went
more fun to bounce
Annabelle,
on.
then Conjuring 2, so I'm watching that.
So did
I
I did it in release order of the movies.
Okay.
And so I think I only got to The Conjuring 2.
Okay.
But yeah, that one is also at least a true story.
Is that the Amityville one?
No, it starts in Amityville, but it's not actually
cool.
about Amityville. It's about a house in Britain. They go to London. And it's a famous one, and off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the house, but it's a famous one.
Word up. Yeah. No, I'm so happy that I'm finally able to face my fears and deal with this wandering demon shit. It's like they can't kill you, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm tempting.
Yeah, they're fun. I think I put it away. Oh no, here it is. Let's check because I it'll show up on the damn camera. But this is the list of. See, I had it for a second. There you go. That's the list of horror movies I need to watch.
Damn.
Yeah. And you know what it is though? It's the list that you posted somewhere because, or at least part of it is from that list because there's a movie called Be My Cat was on there. And it sounds like a trip, but like it was bizarre. Like if you read about it, so there's definitely some stuff in here.
That I need to watch.
Right? That sounds like some fucking furry shit.
No, it's crazier than that. But it's a long list. It's 40 movies, 30 movies, something like that. So I got a lot of horror movies to watch. And that doesn't even list the actual Conjuring franchise, which I'm in the middle of right now. It does have the Conjuring on there. But yeah, I'll watch that along with you, and we'll shoot the shit about that next week. And then I don't have anything else unless you guys do.
I'm trying to think.
We don't have time for that.
While you're thinking, I just want to say on some corny shit, like I missed you guys, man. Like, we did the last show. That was a really fun show talking about like Spirited and everything. And then we had like 2 weeks off?
2 weeks off, yeah.
2 weeks off.
It was Christmas and New Year's.
So it's like that was legitimately the Christmas show. So now we're back. It's a new year. And yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was stoked to get back on the mic, so to speak.
Yeah, whatever.
So I know.
No, I miss you guys. I miss you guys so much.
Oh, you're out there busy, like, I don't know, liking your family or whatever stupid shit you were doing.
I'll say it again. Pete, thank you for coming out. That meant so much to me. You have no idea. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
Andrew, he's gay now.
No, Andrew was in the Bay Area for Christmas and part of New Year's. Yeah. You said
I was here for
yeah. And we were able to get together with a couple other friends one night. And I won't go into that, but that first night it was fun. So we got to see each other. We got to see some old friend, the Jens, who said they were going to listen. I know they said shout out to the Jens.
That's right. I did say they were going to listen. Yeah, Jens, what's up? Hope you're listening. Actually, I know one of them straight up watched a couple of the
Ooh,
shows
excuse me.
straight up. So Jen, we'll call you Jen number
Well, if
2
she actually
because
watched, you better call her Jen number 1.
you both have S names, but SO is after SK, so you're Jen number 2. Sorry, nothing.
Okay, you're already letting stalkers like in. It's a quick search of it. See, now I gotta like lock my Facebook down and my Insta because no, I'm just
Nobody watching this knows who you
I
are.
know.
Anyway, sorry if you were
Uh,
doing something. Yeah,
was I?
I think so. Maybe whatever. I think you just said
Oh
they're.
no, I just said yeah. We got to get together. It was fun. It was really nice to see the Andrew in person.
And Pete came out.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
No, like I came out, like
It
I
was
got out of
great.
my
Yeah,
house.
you're gay.
It was
Oh.
it was an ugly night.
It was.
Did you wear a
muumuu? Momo? Momo?
No, did you wear a
A
muumuu?
moment.
I don't talk about Momo, man. That fucks me up, dude. We talked about that.
We
Of
did.
all the fucking shit that freaks me out, that one, I can't do Momo.
Momo? What is Momo?
Yeah,
You know,
you
what
can look it
Momo
up
is.
later.
Yeah, look, it's
not-
that like crazy looking face, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's like sort of melted. Look, I don't
just
know.
Google Momo.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
think
I'm not
my
okay with it,
connection
man.
is
I'm
there.
not okay with it. I can watch all the horror movies. I can watch all the shit.
All right.
And
So
that
if you're watching The
picture-
Conjuring and like Momo just like jumped out, like
Yeah,
would
I'd
that
fucking
fuck
turn
you
it
up?
off. I'd be like, I'm done. I'd be like, I'm good. And that's the fucking thing. It's not a moving picture. Like it's just
Yeah.
a singular picture of this fucking face. And dude, it fucking like the lines are just the right way that like it hits my fucking eyeballs and just triggers me, dude. I'm just like, nope. That's fucking nightmare fuel.
funny.
Can you imagine like going to sleep and waking up and like Momo, like the picture was just like on the ceiling, like the whole ceiling was just Momo.
I would murder my whole family. I would lose my fucking shit.
Dude, that's
would get,
you know what that is? That's some Firefly Serenity shit there. You were implanted and encoded with some fucking
something.
Manchurian candidate shit in a lab when you were a baby.
Huh.
And now this thing is triggering you and you're slowly like yeah, I don't know, it's a master
trying to break
do
out
something.
That was a Firefly moment? They did that?
Yeah, Firefly, that was one of the whole big things. So Firefly, like over the course of the show, they've
the
picked
whole
up
half
the
of the
doctor.
season.
Yeah, they pick up the doctor and his sister, and his sister winds up in the movie Serenity, being triggered in the arcade by this thing, and that's when it goes into the whole background of what happened to River. And she's actually a lethal killing machine, which was really cool. So I'm sorry.
Especially the movie, she fucking goes off in that scene too.
I liked that series. I don't like it as much as some. Like I like it enough that I've bought it on 2 different formats at this point so I can watch it. But and Serenity was great. I actually saw Serenity before I saw Firefly.
Oh, same. Well, I've only seen Serenity. So yeah.
Firefly's worth it to go back and watch.
Okay.
It's actually I didn't like Serenity the first time I watched it. I had to watch it a second time. And I can't tell you why anymore. Like, I don't remember. I just remember the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't like, it wasn't even like, I was like, oh, that's okay. Like, I didn't like it. Like, I don't know what bothered me about it. Now I do. Now I genuinely like it. But I like the series more.
Yeah.
There's some issues with Joss Whedon being Joss Whedon in Serenity where you're just like, you fucking dick. You didn't really have to do that. Like, come on. Yeah, you don't have to.
Or something.
There's 2 of them.
Like the wind.
Fucking kills 2
and the
of
other
them
guy. Yeah, the other guy.
Yeah.
Is it Preacher or something?
The priest.
Like
yeah, Preacher.
Yeah, Preacher.
Yeah, I was like, what? Stop. Just don't be an asshole. You don't have to kill Wash. You don't have to kill Preacher. Just don't be a fucking dick.
The Wash thing messed with me. I'll admit when I watched that hit me like after having. So when I watched in Serenity, I was like, oh, the dude died. That's a bummer. But then to go back and watch Firefly and then watch Serenity, I'm like,
got it.
Yes, because in Firefly you love that guy. Like he is.
Oh
like,
yeah, Alan Tudyk is amazing.
Yeah, he's great.
In like everything he does.
And
so
yeah,
probably
it was just
killed the franchise. Then they fucked up. Like it's like you shouldn't have killed like at least.
I think when he made Serenity, he was closing the story as best he could.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody was behind him enough to say, "Hey, let's build a franchise again," because the show had already The problem was the show didn't bomb. Like if you read everything about it, the show didn't even actually do that poorly.
Broadcast.
It was just sci-fi at the wrong time on the wrong channel.
Yes.
That would have been, for as much as I hate the Sci-Fi Channel and things that they have done in the last, I don't know, 15 years. If that show had been released on the Sci-Fi Channel, or even something like
Amazon,
A&E at the time, or TNT at the time, or something like that, it probably would have lasted. But because you put it on Fox and said, this is, primetime sci-fi, after people were burnt out from like the 5th Star Trek show at the time, right? The Next Generation was over, and then you had Voyager, and you had Deep Space Nine, and you had Enterprise. And, people were like, dude, it's just.
And then you give them another pseudo Western.
Yeah.
Well,
just
not even pseudo Western.
No, it was a Western.
It's a Western.
And it just didn't. It just didn't get the right people behind it. And it didn't make it. But yeah. And the only other thing that I have to say is that next week, a week from tomorrow, well, today now for us, but a week from tomorrow, a week from Sunday, January 15th, which is my birthday, which makes me so fucking happy. The Last of Us releases on HBO. I've been playing PlayStation 5 for Christmas. And so I got the fully updated version of the game for the PlayStation 5, and I've been playing that. I'll finish it tomorrow in time for the show to drop. But I'm like, I was laughing today because I'm so fucking excited for the show that literally my dreams last night took place in the Last of Us universe. Like I was in this like post-apocalypse. I don't remember my dreams like I very often. Like I don't, like when I do have vivid dreams, I do, and that's fine, but it doesn't happen super often. And last night, like I had 3 that were all in this like,
man.
So like it's on the brain right now. Like I'm dying. I'm waiting for this thing to fucking come out.
God, so. I so hope to hell it's so awesome for you.
Yeah, right,
dude. It's
like I'm gonna watch it, and it's gonna be interesting, and it's gonna be interesting for me. But I don't even know the basics of the story other than there's a dude and a little girl.
And for me, like that's actually going to be fucking. We won't talk about it next week, obviously, because it's going to come out on Sunday, and we record on Saturday. But I'm so stoked to talk to you guys about it as we go because of that. Like I play the game. I have lived this game for 13 years.
Wow.
Like I've played it multiple times. I've played the sequel. I know the ins and outs of the stories. I've followed the actors of the original. Like I follow the director. I know that Craig Mazin is doing the show. He did Chernobyl, which is fucking incredible. Like I know the ins and outs of this. So I know, even though they're adding stuff to it, I know what to expect. And they are sticking, generally speaking, to the original story. So it's a trip. It's going to be cool. And I've said, because I've known people. I had friends when I lived in California. I had two friends that were moms that I talked to every day at picking up the kids. And talking about The Last of Us, I was like, if you guys played video games, you could experience this, but you don't. So like, there was a time when I was like, you'll never experience this show or this game because you can't do it. And now it's out there, and people are going to be able to be a part of it, and I think that's super cool. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about it with like I said, with no perspective other than my own big gay love for it.
Okay, so I'll put that on the weekly watch list.
Yeah, definitely watch it when it comes out. The first episode I think is a little long. I think the first one's a 90-minute episode.
Cool.
And I'm really curious to see what it does, because the first hour of the game, it is as a parent. And so if they go with it, Pete, this is what I'll hit you. There is a massive gut punch in the first hour of that game. Like I remember when it came out in whatever 13 years ago on the PlayStation 3. I stopped playing and I cried for a minute. Like it was heavy as fuck. And then I got back, and then that's when I knew like they were doing something with this. Like this wasn't just, just a creative story or just creative gameplay or whatever. Like this was a thing. Like this was feelings and emotions and real storytelling and shit like that. So we'll see.
what I was gonna
Cool.
say was I know the budget. They're not fucking around either. Like
Oh no,
budget for this show
The-
is like more than
than anything.
Like-
It's the most expensive HBO show they've ever made.
so there you go. They are not
Ooh.
fucking around.
But the sets, like if you watch one of the trailers, like they put the effort in. They really put the effort in. Somebody at HBO really believed in this thing, because they are not pulling any punches. I mean, the cast is fantastic. You got Nick Offerman, Murray Bartlett, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, Anna Torv, a few actors. Well, the original actors from the game will make appearances. So Troy Baker is going to be in it. Ashley Johnson will be in it as different parts. And Graham Greene is in the trailer. If you remember Graham Greene from Dances with the Wolves, he's the dad, the Native American dad.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know who he is.
So he's got a part in it, which isn't from the game. Like that was never in the game. So like I've seen things in the trailer that aren't in the game, and I'm like, cool.
Here we go. Random confession time. I've never seen all of Dances with Wolves.
I've never seen Dances with Wolves, period. But I do know it's Kevin Costner,
Wow.
and I do know that yes, Blue Man Group, Dances with Wolves equals Avatar. But I was also going to say that no, but Craig Mazin, like, good for him because I mean he did fucking what's it called? Like you said, he did Chernobyl.
Chernobyl,
so of course you're gonna like throw money at him because he's clearly a talented dude.
Yeah, and it's HBO, so like that's just one more reason. Like I have confidence behind this thing. HBO's done a pretty good job.
Here's the thing that this could also in some ways save HBO. They've got like the little data breach lawsuit going on. There's all sorts of stuff with the financials. It's all silly little shit, but it adds up.
Hey, all I care is they filmed this whole season. So even if the HBO crashes and burns, I get to watch one TV season of Lost, or not Lost, of The Last of Us. So,
which reminds me, we need to get back into Lost. I've been actually holding my daughter off on watching it. I am actually still exactly where we were when we stopped off.
We finished season 1, right? Like, I mean,
yes,
we're into season 2.
Yes,
are we that far? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I could look into exactly what episode, but
yeah, I've got the recording somewhere too. Yeah, for sure. It's about time. So we can do that too. But yeah, otherwise I got nothing else.
Well, yeah, this is a good one. Oh, okay. But yeah, they're all good ones.
Yeah. Well, in that case, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If Pete there decides to edit it and actually put it on the podcast channel, we're mostly caught up, right?
Yeah,
I think
I think I'm one behind.
Oh my god! So in the spot. I'm sorry. And also, can we just huge favor? Can we update the description of the show and the temple thing because it's it's more towards okay, cool. Yeah, it's more just one version versus season 2.
I have to figure out where we do that, but that's pretty easy to do. So I'll throw that in there. And then before I rudely interrupted myself, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We had a lot of fun this week, so hopefully you'll be back next week, and we will talk to you then.